Evening all. Oh wow, okay. As you can probably tell, I am full of a cold. Not doing the best right now. So tonight I want to get and do the interior. So to do that, I am going to build a new lod. So we have some spare down there already. So I'm just going to grab the hull external, move that down there. And I am going to grab the cockpit block, although that's not finished either, looking at that. I got absolutely soaked earlier, and it's just made everything worse. Right. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to join these. So, we're fine with that. Now, I know that my deck height is essentially there. The bottom of this is actually fuel tank, and it's one of the things that provides the ability to float. So I'm going to remove these. So let's to make this easier to see. Sorry, I've just screwed up here, haven't I? Right, so let's do this properly, because obviously I got lost then. So let's turn all that off. So we're back to this. So for the crew cabin, um, all of this, that literally the hull, is actually fuel tank. It's all like space and void to allow it to float. I'm going to just draw a line straight across the back of that. If I screwed up again, which is bollards. Right. New tactic. Not. Let's not take that one all the way back. Happy birthday, Arma. Arma 3, at least, is 13 years old. That puts me. That ages me quite significantly. For the moment, I am going to take out this door. And I just have to go. There we go. So, what I want to do is just quickly grab. So that just grabbed everything by the biomaterial, which happens to be the glass. So the nice thing Modo does every once in a while is make my life a little bit easier. It doesn't happen very often. sorry. In this instance, it has a pretty cool tool. Oh god, that hurts. So, let me just get rid of this, and I'll explain the cool tool. Right. So there's a thicknessing tool for for Modo, but there's also a soft push, a soft shift, and I can kind of shift them in. So what I'm going to do is I don't want to go too deep in. That was supposed to be a 0. How did I confuse 1 with 0? So this now has literally just moved all the edges in 10 mil. Let's turn that off. That looks a little bit more like than 10 mil to me. Right, so we're gonna have to go back again. So let's pop that out. So we're gonna go to thicken again. And we're gonna go minus 10 mil. That's more like it. So I can just grab the external of this now. So this is why I like to do the on UV. I can literally now just grab the external face. Or maybe I can't. Oh, it's grabbing both. Duh. Oh well. Let's move this out of the way and I'll crack on. Anyway, I hope you had a nice day. I hope it was drier than mine. Didn't really rain as such here. It's just I was doing something. I started off cleaning the car and then went on to do something else at a friend's place. I got soaked again. And I've literally just spent the entire day piss wet through and honestly quite miserable. So I could kind of do without it. Let's do that. We don't need that. You can see it's quite a lot. Wireframe that. Let's grab the end pieces off that because we're never going to use them. So if I do this, I should... oh. Right, so what I want... Let's get rid of those. These are the gaps for the fuel fillers. We're going to hide those anyway. So I should be able to just... Where are you joined, you miserable... It's just going to be quicker to individually select and go from there. Let's change the done material to something a little bit brighter so we can all see it. A little bit better contrast. I think I need to get new monitors. I have three 32-inch TVs that I use as monitors. It was the cheapest option back in the day. They're all about 10 years old now. One is dying, and I'm pretty sure the backlight on these is approaching the end of its existence. So I need to win the lottery at the minute because the prices are insane. Used to be able to get a 32-inch TV for like 200 quid that was a really good like spec, and now they're about 270, 280. It's stupid because you can get a 55-inch for you get a mid-range 55-inch for about 300 quid now. Right, come on. A couple of questions from Mailbag. While this is going on, there's no point. You're just going to hear me moan about TV. So I'll try and answer some of the questions. CVWP, Combined Vehicle Weapons Pack. Yes, it will be making some sort of transition into Arma 4. Because it is... The entire purpose of the CVWP was to support my projects. So if the plane needs it, it's going to be there. Because we obviously do not know exactly what support Arma 4 is going to give to like weapons classes and things like that. I can't really say how things are going to work, but I want the higher quality models that are in CVWP already. They will transition over because I can easily port them. Some of the lower quality ones that I still haven't got around to replacing, they will be ditched and hopefully be replaced because they don't take too long to make weapons. What else? As regards Arma 3, I'm a little bit burnt out at the moment because behind the scenes I've been doing a few things. So I've left Project Prex. I'm not going to go and rejoin that. That's for personal reasons. Just not that I'm any disrespect to them whatsoever. It's just there's a lot going on there that I don't really want to talk about in a public stream, which is just between me and WLD. Love the guy to death, just don't always agree. So I'm going to focus on me for a while and get stuff that I want done out of the way. Yeah, CWP. There's a lot of stuff that I want to bring over to Arma 4 with me, but I don't know whether I'm being too ambitious because I definitely have been for Arma 3. I've been dependent on a lot of other people, and I've been doing stuff to help other people, so I'm learning to say no to helping people these days, just so that I can achieve some of the things that I'm trying to do. God, that is gash, that muddle like that. Need to address some of that. Stavjet just needs the class MFD stuff doing, and I don't like doing it, so I've been putting it off. I will get around to it. It was meant to be the showcase for the CVWP, and that failed miserably. Or that intention died on its arse, so I will come back to that. It's very dark. That's better. Let me move these. I've got 2 sets of tool properties out. Have I got 2 instances open? Yes, I have. There we go. Right, so let's get rid of that. So you may have noticed that there's a little step here. That's because in the real aircraft there actually is. So I'm just going to grab all of that. So there is a little raised days and a step there. So this, I'm going to grab that and just keep going. Oh, that's why I was having problems, right. I hadn't reset my tool. Oh, it's a 20mm gap there. Dope. So, symmetry on for a second. I'm just going to grab that. Let's get the reference pictures up. So, there is actually surprising a lot of Seaking reference out there, but they're all different. Everything's different. So you can see there's a step. There's a step difference. That is literally the avionics cabinet. And there is a little sort of partition shield there to stop the co-pilot falling backwards. Not that they ever do. It's just there's obviously a seat and whatever. Anyway, so again, this is the entire volume. That's the cutout for the window. So there's the skin depth, and then there's this. The reason that I didn't want to go too mad is because the depth here is different, or this thickness of wall here, which is about 120 mil. So it's about 100 mil. Is different than the cockpit. So what I'm going to do in a second. Oh jeez. Oh dear. Is I am going to select all of this on the back of the cockpit and move it all again. Right. I could have done it in a couple of different chunks. So I am going to just grab that. I think that's about the only way I can actually really do it. CPIT, int CPIT. Show. Selecting everything. I'm going to go back to wireframe for the moment. And I am just going to go and deselect the edges of the door. Excuse me, of the doorway. That's a bit of a problem right there. I don't know how much of a problem, but let's see how well this works. So we're about 10 mil in, so I'm going to just move it 100 mil. And because it's facing the other way, we're going to go positive 100 mil. can see some more problems coming. You can see this is actually caused by the triangles. So we're going to fix that just by merging. So a lot of the verts, a lot of the triangled stuff, a lot of the tools will cause some problems. So you kind of need to be prepared to work around some of that. View fit selected. Sorry, I've just thrown myself a little bit. See, that's come out, but it's not consistent with that. That's what's thrown me. So if I go back into here, grab that edge. Might end up writing this off, I'm not sure just yet. Because I thought that was going to be cleaner than that, but it's not. So this is going to be a little bit of a guide for me. Didn't turn symmetry off. So let's move that in 100 mil. Because the chaos of the other line is just what's bugging me. It didn't seem quite right. You can see how it's all shifted. So it gives me something to aim for. So some of the tools are brilliant, some of them just cause you more pain than it's actually worth. So you can see it's moved a lot of that, so we're going to move everything back because this is going to be our door frame. This is going to be a long and tedious one, but it will pay dividends later. So there's a lot of crime up here. So I don't remember. Right, so it is a literal offset. Hmm. Excuse me. Now, as much as I want to keep this symmetrical, which I might just actually, that might be a solution to the mess that I have now. Likewise, we need to cut a frame out of that as well. So, yeah, what I'm gonna do is gonna get rid of these because none of that we need, because that is all gonna get grossly simplified later. So I am gonna take this section, just cut it, grab that, geometry, duplicates, mirror, and if I'd been a good boy and done everything off the center line, that should be on 0. Vertex merge. Let's just make life simpler over here as well, because that is just a mess. It's a rat's nest screw up of a mess. So that can go to that. I mean, the one thing, I guess the one thing, the good part about when you use a tool and it screws up like this is you do at least find roughly where your model needs some love. So that's one vert, that's two verts. There's something. Nah. What am I? I've kind of lost myself as to where I was then. Right, that explains that. So it does kind of highlight where you're screwing up. Geometry, duplicates, mirror. So, perspective. So I'm just going to go into front view. And I am going to grab all of those edges. And move them out. Right. Geometry, Boolean, solid drill, slice. So just had to triangulate that. Wasn't really well, didn't want to. So this edge, what I'm going to do is just merge the verts, because I am going to put a frame over this anyway. We're going to make an inset frame that sits over the top of it, so it's not that big a deal. Because if we look at the interior, all this is thermal lagging. So it's like it's a plastic or a waterproof impregnated fabric, and behind that is essentially loft insulation, for lack of a better description. It's fire resistant loft insulation. Can't remember what the actual substance is, but it is like rock wool. I know in some of the earlier Seakings it was asbestos, so do with that little bit of information what you will. I mean, asbestos is alright until you break it, and then the fibres get in the air, and then it's in your lungs. But given, maintenance needs to be done, etc., I personally wouldn't really want to be around it. When I lived at home, I used to maintain my motorcycles in an asbestos building that my stepfather, quite happily punched holes through willy-nilly. But he worked on the railways for years, and he just didn't give a crap. Bodget and Scarpa, it really was dodgy. Credit where credit's due, though, he was a very good carpenter. He made some beautiful windows. We did not like each other very much, if anyone was interested. Right. So, not very interesting to watch. Do apologise. It's me cleaning up my mess. Trying to just trying to ensure we don't end up with too many polygons further down the line. Because there's a lot of stuff that is completely unnecessary. So that's interesting in that. There we go. So I grab all of that. This will actually have a box kind of underneath it. I don't know if it's got a picture of it. but it's under this sling seat setup. I don't have many pictures of the interior. So you can see this is stripped out without the insulation. And those are the frames and the skin. The skin's literally 2 mil thick. There is, if you think this is some sort of flying tank or whatever, it's not. It's really not. In places, the metal skin is literally tissue box sort of thickness. The cardboard on your tissue box is probably thicker. So you can see in there, that's the blanket that sits over the top of the frames. And it's about thermal insulation as much as it's about noise insulation. Let's see if there's anything inside. So this is along that wall. The fuel filler lines are around about here, I would have said. So it's very possible that this is all covered by the. If I turn the external hull on, there you go. So yeah, there's probably likely a little bump out here, and you don't see the fuel filler because of the gap between the lagging, the insulation, and the ribs on the wall. So I think I rode in Seaking's probably less than 5 or 6 times in my entire 14 and a bit years. I was just wondering why that was there then for a minute, and then I just realised I'd cut it in. So, because we are going to build a frame, I'm not overly stressed. I just need some edges, need some. Because again, we can cut that with the external fuselage, so. I was going to say. was having a conversation about the CVWP with somebody else the other day as well. It kind of, the question came up was, am I going to continue making stuff for Arma 3? The answer is yes and no. And as unsatisfying as that is, it is actually kind of the truth, because for me, my interest is kind of gone from Arma 3, and I think that's probably true for a lot of modders. I don't know. It's kind of a bit of a weird one. I don't know that I'll return to Arma 3 other than to just do some maintenance and push like a couple of bits that are just out on the cusp. I still want to get the new Wildcat done, but I haven't sat down. There's some scripting stuff that is a little bit beyond me, and it's a bit frustrating, and I need to get the time to do it. With work and the college course and everything, it's gotten a little bit too much, and doing this for 2 or 3 hours every night is going to take a chunk. I'm not saying this is taking over or anything, but this is more fun than sitting there and trying to learn how to code to support multiplayer. This is far less frustrating and annoying than screwing around with code. So, right. So that is the floor height that we need to get to. So let's turn the cockpit back on. Edge extend. So that's the height we're aiming at. So this, I'm going to continue this forward for the moment and grab these edges. And we're going to move it to the Z figure there. So you can see the change in the shape there. So that gives me a couple of stray verts, or there were some stray verts there. It's going to be asking me, am I still listening? Let's see, give me the review. Bugfest, Newbert, thank you very much. Oh, playback error. Dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum. Let's try that. So the reason I wanted to do that was I need to join up this space basically. So just using a scale tool, I'm going to put that out. Doesn't have to be mega accurate, but it would be really nice if it was. So I'm going to grab that. So we're going to have to create a frame, a door frame anyway. So we're just going to grab this edge. And there is going to be some bodging. There's no way around this. Extend. So we're going to go out 100 mil. So I didn't clean that edge up properly. So you can see that. So let's look at this. I'm going to say that's roughly 33%, a third of the way across. I'm just going to copy that. That was the mess that I made, so that can go. So I am just going to grab that edge, or these edges rather. $33.3339. that should give us that depth there. Let's see if we can find a picture through the door. From memory, it's about half the depth of the door. See, that's the back of that. Those are sonar buoys. Some of the Seakings had holes in the floor that you could throw the sonar buoys out underneath. Others just lobbed them out the door. They sink so far and then kind of open up. So that thing in the center is a sonar buoy rack. It's for the anti-submarine warfare versions. Some had a dipping sonar as well, which is actually very cool. I need to do the tail bend for the... So what I'm looking for is a picture going through the side door. See, that's a useful one to have because you can see the door frame, admittedly not brilliantly, but it's not often you see the weapons racks on Seakings, Sea Skewer. Alright, so that is the bulkhead that I'm talking about. So I'm gonna guess it's like I say, I've only been in a few times. I've flown in a few times, and I've only kind of been through a couple of museum pieces. And it's when I've done the museums that I've kind of been looking round with an eye to what I'm going to make. Polygon extrude. I have bored various partners and friends and frustrated a few. um, with taking around museums and the like. Sticking my head in places that I'm not supposed to be going, just so I can see something or understand how something goes together. And I'm a nightmare for touching things that I shouldn't touch, but at the same time, I don't go and touch like ancient artifacts or something. I'm touching a piece of machinery that survived the war, and me putting my hand on it so that I can lean around it isn't going to destroy it, if you know what I mean. No disrespect intended, but don't be so bloody soft. Geometry, Boolean, solid drill, slice. And we are going to go to the Geometry, Boolean, solid drill, slice again. Okay, so it's not cut everything. Yikes. Right, let's try and work out what the hell's going on there, because that's not what I... Not what I was expecting. Sorry, I'm starting a sentence and then just vanishing into my own little world. Again, Boolean slice, any Boolean operation just ends up producing a shed load more verts and faces than you really intended. Like, where the hell did that come from? It came from a dodgy... So this entire process is just going to be messy, clunky, and awkward. So if you want to skip this video, feel free. I don't hold it against you. It's not entertaining. I'm not sure how many more little dits I've got left. At least not that'll be of interest to most people. I'm merging that as much for visibility as I would for anything else. Right, so if I'm going to grab these two outside verts, I can kill that face. That's not going to do me any good looking at that, because there's something else going on there that I probably haven't accounted for. Yeah. So this, I don't know why I'm bothering with that, to be brutally honest, because this needs to join up with this interior. So I need to grab that. So that gives me my arc line there. That can go. So I'm going to create a rod for my own back doing this. I know I am, but let's grab all of that. Geometry, vertex merge. Right, so what I want to do now, what I'm trying to do now, Shift A, yeah, is get this cleaned up a bit. And have it match the geometry that we're creating there. So I need it to join on that center. Because this, all of this, So if I grab all those verts, all of that should be on the same plane. So we're getting into dodgy territory here because not all of this is matching the geometry. So what I need to go is go into internal cockpit, go on the right hand side, grab all of these. Because we've extended it in, it may not necessarily all line up, so this is kind of manual adjustments, and I will go through and eventually just hopefully clean all of this geometry up. Again, this goes back to, I would love to be able to just physically engineer all of these, but unfortunately it doesn't always play out like that. See, there's some crimes there that we don't need. So that cleans up quite a lot. Again, less polygons. The more disciplined you are about cleaning up your mess, the more efficient the model becomes and the smoother it runs. I grab these edges. Just gonna leave them there. Geometry, Boolean, solid drill, slice. So let's get rid of that top face. check the verts to see what's matching. We've got some missing, so we're going to do a little bit of moving around. So if I turn cabin back on, so we have a step here. So what I'm going to do, I think, let's just give it, let's turn the floor off, just so it's a little bit less disconcerting. So if that's the side door, that's the avionics cab. So we're missing a face down here. Excuse me, so let's just go and clean up the cockpit bit. Don't need any, don't need any of that. So what I think I'm going to do, because I'm going to potentially save a few polygons, just delete that, grab that skirt. Again, I'll be honest, I'm expecting to change quite a lot of this interior. It is as much as a guide. These window frames are going to go, so I'm not too stressed about that. We're going to end up essentially building 1.5 interiors. That's kind of a confusing thing to say. There will be one that we use for the external model, the external view, which will be essentially a low poly one. And then there will be one for the pilot view or the player view. I'm assuming that's still how Reforger treats LODs, etc. I'm just gonna have to take a couple of tablets because I am dying here. Oh well, it's the important tablet anyway. Right. back to that. We've got a bit of a problem here, and I don't know where that one's actually come from. Oh, yes I do. Right. So, I changed that because I can't keep calling it Blade Boss. As amusing as it is for various reasons. What I'm trying to do, I can't do with the piano, is if I turn the hull back on, you can see that some of this has drifted out of place. It's not matching. And while that is annoying, it's not necessarily the worst thing, but it is something I need to address for the moment. Come on. Have I locked this or something? Right. I am going to put a door frame in here, but I need this to be um, pretty close already before I start messing. Something's not right there. Bum 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 bum. Suppose I can always tell you the story of me thrown up in the back of an S61 in over Iceland. Not Iceland, Greenland, sorry. It's about 15 years. No, it's about 10 years ago. Um, these bastard things vibrate like you would not believe, and it messes with your inner ear. And I believe I've said it on a number of occasions, I've been in quite a few helicopters in my time. Some just vibrate and it's not a nice time. But the S61 is like a longer fuselage with a Seaking engine and rotor blades stuck on top, used for oil rigs and personnel movements. There's a friend, I met him donkeys ago in Norway we were doing Arctic warfare training module, and he was a Norwegian Air Force officer who was our liaison. He retired to fly helicopters. Um, and he ended up flying in Greenland for a number of years on like a regional support contract, and they were flying like indigenous people around, hospital trips, um, company assets, things like that. And I went out on a holiday. I went out to Iceland to meet them because that's where they were living, him and his wife. But he was working in Greenland. So we went over to Greenland for a couple of weeks. And there was just something about the S60. Well, it was actually about 10 days, but the S61, just something about it. My inner ear, whatever, I was throwing up constantly. Miserable, miserable time. Certain aircraft just do horrible things to you. There's nothing you can do about it. Right. So, what I want to do is go back to bed. um, so I need to move this entire edge. Excuse me. That edge needs to come over 100 mil so I can be consistent. It's not a very satisfying movement. Sorry. That sounds just so wrong. We moved 10 mil, then we moved 100 mil, so it needs to come out another 10 mil. When I say it's not satisfying, is this curve just looks wrong. It's not smooth. It should be smooth. Wrong one. Sorry, I'm messing with my face and it's keep hitting the mic. So what I'm trying to do is you can see the rib that I'm trying to create. If that's the outside, it's not, it's overexposed, but that's that rib. That's a structural rib, goes all the way over the airframe. So what I want is to take this edge and move that forward. So if we come to the right view, I need some space for the window frame to sit and mess around. So I'm just going to line it up on that seam. I can't remember whether that's another story. I was sat on the floor on one of these. Friend came in, swung the mount, um, literally got me right in the middle of the chest. Just trying to get out of the way. If I hadn't got out of the way, it would have twatted me in the face. What I'm looking for is a picture of the cockpit looking backwards, but I don't think we're going to see that. Again, you can see all this. A lot of the covers get removed for weight and maintenance. You wouldn't believe how much weight they actually can save. But you won't believe also how loud it gets. So that is the overhead panel looking up. So what I'm trying to figure out is the depth. Now from memory, it's about there. It's about door height. But you can see that's the cutoff there. So it's just, it needs to bow more over. So I'm gonna guess it's probably there. let's budget until we can work it out. Come on. Edge. Let's go to the front view again. Right, I can start doing it from here. Actually, if I grab that, put it in a different lot, thicken, 100 mil, ta-da! That makes more sense. So that gives me my arc. And I can kill that front polygon. There's going to be one back here as well. I don't want that. So that will give me a natural arc over that is 100 mil. So I can get rid of that. Oh, come on, don't be a pain. I don't know why I didn't think of that before anyway. The less faces you offset, the more accurate it becomes. But you can see it starts to twist. So again, I may end up cheating on this a little bit. So I'm just going to slice that off. I don't know whether it did slice or not. Just occurred to me, it's not looking at the comments. No one's commented, so it's cool. I'm all alone. Again, I don't know why I keep having to say this or defend this. Is I am doing this just so that other people can come back and refer to it later. It's not. There's a couple of things that I keep getting asked about over and over. How do I do stuff? Why do I, why have I chosen to do this, that, and the other? So hopefully this is just me explaining that, or at least showing my workings. So a couple of people have asked me how to do stuff. Easiest way is for me to show them really what I'm doing. I don't always follow best practice. I should. You know, it's an idealized way of doing things at times. You know, it's better to do it this way. It's better to do it that way. Um, that is probably very true, but the reality is quite frequently um, I've had to do a compromise. So in doing the Seaking publicly live, the intention is to do it end to end, but there will be some shortcuts. There'll be some days I just don't want to do this publicly, and I'll do it offline. But anything major, the intention is um, just keep showing up and um, keep pushing forward. So by the time of you see the end of it, you should see how I have made an entire add-on, and there's going to be some learning. There's going to be some, working out how to do things here and there. I am not the all-knowing genius. I wish I bloody was. I am working it as I go along in a lot of cases. Other cases are in other parts of it. I have done this before and have a process, one that works for me. I'd argue it comes out with some pretty reasonable results. Um, don't always get it right. Um, and there's bits that I don't like or I think I can do better. Um, there's bits that I've been criticised for, so this is just me showing my working, and hoping it'll help somebody along the way, or at least some people will enjoy it. I've had some feedback so far. Um, can you do X, Y, and Z, or why the hell are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense. I'm fine. If you want to ask questions, you want to take the piss, go for it. Engagement is engagement, as they say. I'm not trying to build a social media streaming empire. And in part, I think it's kind of therapeutic sat here talking to myself while I make 3D models. So symmetry. So just so that we have some consistency, I'm going to grab that arc. So that should... I didn't realise that was inverted, but that's the joy of working in wireframe. Your faces get turned around. Right, so... Bugger. Have I just screwed up? Oh, no, I haven't, because they don't exist. I've not done the faces on that. Duh. Yeah, so we've now got a consistent frame across the top. So if I turn cockpit again, so symmetry wise, I should be able to just do this and create patches. So that should have created that over there, yeah. Turn symmetry off again, extend. So, again, we don't need all of that face to be hidden behind there. When I did it earlier on, I didn't think I was going to put that frame all the way across. I thought it was going to be part of the frame, but live and learn. I am not perfect. Turn this into wireframe because it's a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. I don't think we're going to get this done in one session tonight because I have some work to do. Excuse me, sorry for sniffling and snorting. I have an analysis note I've got to write 1,500 words on and shove to my editor tomorrow. Given what's going on in Iran and whatever, he wants me to have a look at or what I think the impact is going to be. I get to play guessing games basically and get paid for it, which is kind of cool. and it just gets used as a potential research point for the real journalists. So I get fact-checked a lot, which is a bit brutal for my ego, if I'm honest, but, you know, it's not wrong. And literally everything I write is just an informed guess at the moment, so... Actually, I'll rephrase that. It's an educated guess, it's not an informed guess, because there's nobody telling me any bloody secrets. Just based on my experience and knowledge, if A happens and B looks like it's going to happen, what does C look like? That kind of thing. Working. So, if I do that, bollocks. Somewhere that has all got out on the piss, and I think that was because we extrapolated. Doesn't really matter, because it's all going to be, I was about to say an organic surface, but it's not. An irregular surface, I think, is probably the word I'm looking for, because it's all going to be a fabric. Oh, excuse me. So, right, looking at that, I don't need that then. I'm going to bring that down to there. Where are we? 2 hours and 4 in. That's it. Horribly slow. Horribly tedious. Let's just draw a patch in. Not feeling brilliant about this, but trying. So you can see there from the bow onto that side, These are pipes with lagging on. Nothing ever quite fits. Don't even know that this is actually a British one. I know that a lot of the British ones were. Well, there's no two Seakings the same from what I remember. I think that's probably true of everything, but it depends on the maintenance state of either of them. I know the Commando versions tend to be a bit more stripped out, trying to get as much free weight as possible. So you can see that's the 100mm, or in our case 110mm thing. That's an edge lip. It's all fabricated steel. Sorry, fabricated aluminium. It's surprisingly light for the structure, but it's more than you think it would be. Yeah. This may be a couple more nights, or a night, another night at least. What I may do, I'm not feeling it right now, if I'm honest. I'm just struggling a little bit. I think I might call it quits for tonight, and then do the rest of it tomorrow morning or something, and then we'll at least get to the interesting bits. What I'm trying to do is I'm going to rough out the cockpit space and the doors. I need to make a door frame to fit in there. I need to clean up this space around here and make the interior of the door. But right now it's just a case of using this offset, filling the floor pan in, and cleaning up the mesh. You've seen me clean up a lot of the mesh that I'm doing at the minute. I'm still trying to work out exactly where everything's sort of going. So you're going to sit here and listen to me and ah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call it here. What I'm going to do tomorrow, I think, will be a little bit more interesting, which will be blocking out the cockpit itself. And once we've got all the rough shape in, I can cut all the windows that I need, because obviously any window on the outside is going to affect the inside. Once I can do that, we can focus on external UV and getting everything sorted to the point where we can paint it potentially. Which I think is the more interesting part, is watching somebody paint it. And then we can look at high poly and low poly baking of seats and interior, getting the most out of your textures. Cockpit display is going to be interesting as well, because that changes configuration depending on the version. I'll be honest, I don't really want to go down too far down that sort of road, but we're going to be making some custom high poly instruments, flight instruments, and things like that. So you probably hear me waffling about trying to learn how to fly. I have a nice few dits about that kind of crap. Anyway, hopefully not too boring. Hopefully a little bit more interesting things to come in the next week or so. You'll get to hear me use in various different contexts. and struggle to speak English because I'm too tired. Right, that's it. I'm calling it. It's not very satisfying. You can see there's a little bit of work. A lot of this is trying to work out is what we can and can't do. A lot of it is quite literally cleaning up the mess you've made as you've gone along. Lesson not necessarily learned, but lesson to be learned from it. Anyway, if I go and turn on the hull, maybe that makes a little bit. Nah. There's more to come. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for tolerating my and ahs. Hopefully you get something from it. If you don't, let me know what you're not getting, and I will see if I can provide. So I will be back tomorrow. Actually, what day is it? So it's Thursday. Yeah, I'll try and be back tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. Thank you very much. Take care, have fun, and if you're going to get into trouble, at least make it interesting. So, bye bye.